breaking news this morning, the 25th of December, news broke of the crash of an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer E190 close to the city of Atkau, western Kazakhstan. The flight was Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243, flying from the Azerbaijani capital of Baku to Grozny, the Chechen capital in southern Russia. Reports suggest up to 67 passengers were aboard the flight, split across 62 passengers and 5 crew. Of these 67, estimates suggest at least 28 survived the crash. Other estimates suggest 30. At this early time in the investigation, information is not yet clear or readily available. The aircraft itself was an Embraer E190AR, registered as 4K-AZ65. The aircraft was delivered new to Azerbaijan Airlines in July of 2013, where it spent much of its service life, save for a period with Buda Airways. At the time of the crash, it was 11.6 years old. Moving on to the accident flight, as stated previously, this was Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243 from Baku to Grozny, with 67 souls on board. The plane had previously flown in from Bishkek early that morning without incident, and this would be its second of 4 scheduled flights that day. The plane pushed back from its gate at Baku at 7:55 a.m. Baku time, 5 minutes ahead of schedule for its 55-minute flight to Grozny. Within 10 minutes, the flight was airborne and had quickly entered Russian airspace at 30,000 feet. Publicly available flight data suggests that the aircraft began squawking 7700, the code for a general emergency, at 10:08 a.m. Baku time, more than 2 hours after the plane was due to land in Grozny. It is suggested that the crew had radioed in, reporting a flight control systems failure, and the pilots requested to divert to Atkau, Kazakhstan. The plane's flight path from this point appeared to show it moving erratically, oscillating from left to right as well as up and down, quickly losing and gaining speed and altitude. At one point, not far from the shoreline of Atkau, flight data suggests that the plane came within feet of crashing into the Caspian Sea before gaining altitude once again. At this point, the pilots had managed to crudely line the aircraft up for an emergency landing on Atkau Airport's runway 11. Due to the aircraft's oscillations, however, the pilots abandoned this approach, turning the aircraft for a 360-degree turn to the left before repeating the maneuver to the right and nearly coming in contact with the ground at least twice before time ran out for Flight 8243. It impacted the ground at 10:28 a.m. Baku time, roughly 3 miles 5 kilometers northwest of Atkau Airport. Video evidence shows the plane, with landing gear extended, pitching and rolling while attempting to re-establish itself onto the approach. The plane is then shown entering a dive before impacting the ground nose first in a right-hand turn, with the front fuselage and right wing bearing the brunt of the impact. The plane then cartwheels and catches fire, and the rear fuselage separates, distancing itself from the fire and is thrown free. This section would then land largely intact and on its roof. Rescue workers and eyewitnesses arrived at the scene quickly after the crash, and great efforts have been made to control the fire and rescue survivors. Current reports suggest that between 28 and 32 passengers survived the crash, leaving between 35 and 39 fatalities. In addition to support on the ground at the crash site, Azerbaijan Airlines has published the names of all on board and has established a hotline for those affected by the crash. It should be noted that this report comes mere hours after the event occurred. Details are still unverified and are subject to change. This report aims to provide an unbiased view of the information currently available and to be as respectful as possible to the families of those involved.